Hurrah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's the new Panic Room. It's the show other shows want to be, and the show that authors want to be on.
Oh, by gosh, by golly, it's time for mistletoe and holly. Tasty pheasants, Christmas presents, countrysides covered with snow. Oh, by gosh, by jingle, it's time for carols and Kris Kringle. Overeating, merry greeting from relatives you don't know. Then comes that big night, giving the tree the trim. You'll hear voices by starlight, singing a Yuletide hymn. Oh, by gosh, by golly, it's time for mistletoe and holly. Fancy ties and granny's pies and folks stealing a kiss or two as they whisper Merry Christmas to you. Then comes that big night, giving the tree the trim.
You'll hear voices by starlight, singing a Yuletide hymn.
Oh, by gosh, by golly, it's time for mistletoe and holly. Fancy ties and granny's pies and folks stealing a kiss or two as they whisper Merry Christmas to you.
The all-new Panic Room radio show is brought to you by hellboundbooks.com.
Well, good evening, and I suppose Merry Christmas. I only played that for I hate Christmas music, as anybody who knows me or who listens to the show knows. So, yeah, I apologise in advance. There's probably going to be more Christmas music, but it's our last show before Christmas, and, blah, 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 really. It is the new Panic Room episode 168 on the check date 19th of December, 9:30 Central Time, and it's 2 minutes ago it was January, and a whole brand new year, and here we are, the drag ends of the year, really, and what year it's been, what year it has been. But I'm going to bring her on because there's a couple of things we do need to talk about. I'm going to bring her on now.
Come on, I'm with you.
Xtina, Merry fucking Christmas and whatnot. How are you?
I'm good. And I can be in a just a quiet mood where I just want to be left alone and do nothing. And then that song comes on and I just tear right up. So
it is a joy.
It is.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So yeah, our last show of before Christmas, our penultimate show of 2019, and as I was saying, what an absolute year it's been, huh? What a year!
It has been. It has been. We've had some interesting things, happen personally. So, but
right. So I'm not wanting to see the back of this year. But I'm excited. I'm a big kid this time of year because it's like, and I know it's only the whole kind of thing sort of it's artificial human construct, etc. So as is time. Before we start citing Einstein, but I don't know. Not so much Christmas. Obviously I enjoy spoiling the kids and seeing their little faces and what have you, etc., etc. But for me, it's the, especially when you've had a difficult year or a tough year or a hard year, whatever, is the excitement of a brand spanking new year, waking up on the 1st of January and it's a brand new spanking new year, and it's just all the opportunities and excitement that goes with. That attitude is usually killed by about halfway through January when the shit the reality hits. But for those first couple of weeks, magical, isn't it magical?
Yeah. I hate to say this, but for me, my mom, even growing up when we didn't have a whole lot and everything, and my mom always made the holidays so special and magical for me. So basically from Halloween on until the end of the year was just this magical, time. It was just amazing. And so for me, I always go through just a tiny little bit of, I don't know, depression, maybe you kind of want to call it, after the new year.
Well, part of it,
for
kids, it's magical. For kids, it's magical. But and even now, kids get older, and it's the magic sort of. The magic gives way to the materialistic, and I know it makes us sound old, but it's more about I want, and isn't it a wonderful time of the year, and family and blah blah. It's all I want, and especially for my youngest. My oldest is like, I don't know what I want. It's great, thanks, kid.
Yes.
For my daughter, it would be her Christmas list. Was actually shorter because she actually just listed what she didn't want.
Nice.
So
perfect.
It's some of the magic goes, and the whole Santa thing sort of. I think that sort of last year I think was that, and I thought it might be last year was that. And now it's funny. It's like yes, Santa. So see what Santa brings. She knows, but we keep it going, and
yeah.
But it's great. It's great, bless her. So, but yeah, this time next week it'll all be over. It'll be you and me again and doing this, and the kids will be bored.
Oh my God, this is the
I've opened everything, got fed up with
it,
and they're bored. So
yeah, this is the first day my kid had off. The holiday break thing, and oh God, I don't think he's going to make it until he goes back to school.
Oh dear. Well, my son, they do this exemption. I presume they do it up where you are, the exemption thing. He's in high school, obviously, and if his grades over a certain thing, he can be exempt from the final exams. I think it's basically because if he took the exam and flunked it, it would drop their grade down and make the school look bad. So it's about keeping the school looking good, So he was off. He had Tuesday off. He went in sort of lunchtime today, and that was his last day. He did the last final. He's off now till the 6th of January. So my daughter's last day. She's got party day tomorrow. So yeah, it's great, bro. I always remember it was the best day of school of all of them, because you get to take games in and have fun, and that was good. The rest of it was just shite. Just, learning stuff and that.
Yeah.
Although these days, it's funny, they're back to school, they start a semester, and they're back to school 2 weeks, and they're having tests. So what can they possibly be testing you on? You've been back to on what we've learned in 2 weeks. And here's the thing, my son, he did one of his exams, final exams this week, and he said they gave him 2 hours to do it. There was 40 questions. He'd finished in 10 minutes and he got 97.
Oh, wow!
Now either he's exceptionally bright, or he's smart, but they just make it ridiculously easy. This whole no child left behind is just bullshit. It really is.
Yeah, and seriously, the breaks, though, they have so many breaks now. They go back to school, and then we have, my kid had what do they call it? Like fall break, which was not even the break for like Thanksgiving. So they had a fall break, and then they had
you had it. We didn't have that. We did not have that. We had the Thanksgiving break. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it seems like every month there's some kind of, some kind of thing where they have off a day or two for no reason, just no reason at all. He's got a long weekend. I'm like, why? I'm the one who needs the break, not you.
Well,
go
that's
to school.
it. I mean, I don't. I mean, how parents who work. Well, I mean, we work, but we work from home. Parents who have to go somewhere. To work. I mean, what do they do? Either leave the kids at home, or they have to take a day off and I guess lose pay. I mean, it's just, kids should be. I think boarding school's the way to go.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yes, I agree.
Pack them off to boarding school. That's the way.
I'll see you on the holidays. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
No,
idea.
No. Let's get hasty, Xtina. Let's not.
Damn it.
Don't push it. We don't have to. You just see them on graduation, and
No, he's a great kid. I tell you, I think I mentioned this before, but he's the teenage years, and they're kind of rough. And I was having an issue with I asked him to put away the dishes in the dishwasher, and it was just. It's not like he said no. He always did it, but it's like he didn't do it when I wanted him to. It's just too long, and just drove me crazy. And I guess to me, that was a huge thing. I want you to do it now. Do what I'm saying. Anyway, long story short, I joined some groups on Facebook of, moms of teens to try to, to have them, commit, just misery loves company, and I'm reading drugs and into pregnancy and runaways, and I'm like, wow, I don't got it so bad at all. So now I go in there just to make myself feel better.
Yeah, well, again, I guess it's all relative, I mean, my stepson, we went through the whole drug thing, and I mean, he's where he is now, but and that's sort of the benchmark. I'll speak to my boy, and he was funny because I was getting notes home from school. He's been tardy. He's like 5 minutes late to a lesson. And it's like, okay, well, when you've had a kid who's stolen from you, destroyed the house, got wrecked on crack cocaine, been arrested more times than, I've had hot dinners, etc., etc. Let's take things in perspective here. He got to chemistry 5 minutes late. So fucking what? Seriously?
Right.
Seriously, just don't even send me the email. Just go fuck off. Which is not good for parent-teacher relations, apparently. I don't know. Some people touch about that sort of thing, but it's just like, Anywho, I'm assuming, I'm making an assumption we've got, literally, and I know I say every week, and again, genuinely, because I work, had to take my daughter to the dentist to get a tooth pulled this afternoon, which was a jolly interlude to my day. And it's just literally, I sat down, and the minute we got on air, I thought, shit, I don't know what's going on. I better say, Xtina, what have we got going on this evening?
Yeah, I'm excited. We have a returning guest, which I love it when they return because that must mean they like us or something.
Oh, they're crazy.
We have
crazy people.
Right?
Crazy. Don't do it, people. Don't do it.
We have a returning guest. He is an award-winning author of multiple genres, Derik. I'm going to say his name wrong. Cavignano. He's going to have to, correct me.
Derik.
But,
You've got Derik on.
Yeah,
yep.
Derik.
Oh, Derik.
Yeah. And
another guy who
you
you picked two proper names, haven't you, this week?
I have.
Andrew, I'm going to say Kanago, and it's probably horribly wrong. Andrew, if you listen, I do apologise. You can correct us later in the second half of the show. Who we just published A Touch of Happy, and what a phenomenal. Well, it's getting some absolute stonking reviews, so we shall look forward to that later. But in the meantime, I think you should introduce our first guest, Xtina.
All right, our first guest is award-winning author of multiple genres, Derik Cavignano. Woo!
Good evening.
Hello, James and Xtina. How are you?
Hello, Dave. First of all, how badly did Xtina pronounce your surname?
She was pretty good that last time. It's Cavignano, so that was not too bad.
Do you know, that's what I said before we came on air. That is exactly what I said. So, ha ha.
Yeah, that's right. And I hear it, and then I go to say it, and my tongue doesn't do what I'm trying to get it to. So I'm going to blame my tongue.
Sure.
Well, I'm not.
No,
I'm not even go there. So, thank you so much for joining us. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We're good. And all for the Christmas spirit, I can probably tell.
Yes, I am. That's the first thing I do in the morning. As soon as I get up, as I turn on the Christmas tree. And today, when I was making lunch, I would say breakfast because it's my first meal of the day, but I don't get up until lunchtime. So Christmas music while I made lunch. Woo, I'm all in the mood here. Yeah, deck the halls and joy to the world and yay.
Moving on. Derek's here to talk about his book, The Art of Dying, a Ray Hanley crime thriller. I do like a good crime thriller. Tell us a bit more about it, Derek.
Sure. It's basically it's a crime thriller. It involves a serial killer, but it's sort of set against the backdrop of an escalating mob war in Boston. So you've got the Irish and the Italian mafia, and what happens is the first serial killer victim happens to be somebody in the mob. So the other crime family assumes that it's the Italian mob that has sort of whacked their person, and that sparks an escalating war. And as the detective kind of in the middle, trying to be the peacekeeper, as he's investigating, he starts to uncover evidence that there's really a serial killer at work who is obsessed with the art of human suffering.
Oh, I like that. Excellent.
Yeah, so then the fun kind of ensues from there.
The fun.
It's got all the elements. I mean, we all love a good serial killer. I mean, the suffering and without obviously spoiling it. I mean, sort of to what extent? I mean, is it very, very sort of very gruesome, very gory? Is it? Do you leave a lot to imagination, or?
He basically turns he essentially has them displayed in his gallery, and he basically turns them into works of art. And his premise is that he believes he's sort of discovered a revolutionary new form of art, which he calls the art of dying, and it's in 4 dimensions. So you've got your traditional 3 dimensions, but with the 4th dimension being time. So he's essentially watching them die over time, and
wow.
he thinks he's the next great artist. So
that sounds fantastic.
Illusions of grandeur there. Thank you. And each work of art is distinctly different, and none of the victims really get away with too much. They all suffer quite a bit, so it is a bit dark.
Wow. Now it says a Ray Hanley crime thriller. So is this a series, or there's more?
Yeah, so this is sort of the first book in the crime thriller series. It started out, I have another book that's a sci-fi suspense thriller called The Righteous and the Wicked. And Ray Hanley was a supporting character in that book. And, it was one of those things where he sort of was a little bit larger than life. People kind of, liked him as their favorite character. He kind of overshadowed the protagonist a little bit. So I thought, he needs to have his own book. And, it'll be a crime thriller. And, just trying to think of ways to do that, and had some ideas about this particular serial killer for a while. But it wasn't until I thought about kind of having it against the backdrop of a mob war that the story really came together. So I do plan to have a couple more books in this series, and so I'm plotting out the next one, as we speak.
Oh, fantastic! And do you have any idea on how many in this? Are you just going to keep going until you get fed up with the character?
Yeah, probably the latter. I think at least 3, and we'll see where it goes from there. And,
wow. Yeah.
May take a break and do something different for a while, but I'd say at least 3.
I always admire fellow writers who can do series, and we've had people on the show who done book 6 and 7. I by the end of one novel I'm sick to death of the people, or either that or I've killed them all. I mean that is another option. They're all dead. So there's absolutely no chance of doing a sequel. What I think Tenebrian, I think I'm no spoiler alert. I think that might have fallen close in that category, but either that or I kill them all off, but I think because you spend that long with these, but I just get sick of them. But it must be. I guess it's one of those situations where. Maybe I haven't met my lasting character yet, my Harry Potter or Ray Hanley, to think, oh yeah, this person needs a whole lot of books to tell his story. But maybe he's still in there, maybe he's just not out yet.
Yeah. Well, I think there's definitely a certain point where a character gets stale, and there's probably some series that should stop, but haven't.
As a reader, I love it when there's a good character and somebody you feel like and if they have more stories in them, I sometimes when I'll have an author write something that same characters and I get excited because I'm like, I know I love this author. And I know I love these characters, and to me, it's almost like visiting friends you haven't seen in a while or something. So I do love it, when, sequels or something. No, definitely, there's a time where it just gets to be, there's just no more story to tell. But I think sometimes people keep trying, let's pull one more out of here, and you're like, no.
But I think the crime genre it fits that. Well, because obviously you can have, again, you look at some of the great detective, obviously Holmes, Inspector Morse. I mean, there's just endless, Agatha Christie had some fantastic characters. But because it can be a different story, they're investigating a different murder each time. So you're basically following the case with a much loved character. And I can see how that works, and maybe definitely. I'm just trying to think of someone. Who wrote the Necroscope? Lumley, wasn't it? Brian Lumley. The Necroscope series. I don't know how many, but I read the first one and it was fantastic. Big fat doorstops of books. Obviously, that same character was through however many books Lumley wrote about the necroscope. But again, each one was different. It wasn't just the same old rehash. So, yeah, that was good. I enjoyed those. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah. I want to hear more, Derik, of The Art of Dying. Do you have a reading for us?
I do have a reading. So I'll just just to kind of level set. So this is really the first chapter. So you first we'll first see the mobster who's dead, and you'll meet the characters for the first time. So here goes. The granite rail quarries hadn't been used to mine granite since the 60s. Since then, the sheer cliffs and onyx waters made it a favorite dumping ground for stolen cars, shopping carts, and of course, the occasional body. Teenagers from the city's South Shore neighborhoods considered it a rite of passage to leap from the treacherous ledges, some of which measured over 100 feet high. Detective Ray Hanley headed to the first of the water-filled quarries and found his partner, Billy, standing shoulder to shoulder with a pair of state troopers on a rocky ledge scrawled with graffiti. An underwater recovery team truck idled on a gravel path nearby, the winch on the flatbed whirring as it wound up the cable. Billy turned at the sound of Ray's approach, folding his arms across his rumpled sports jacket. He reminded Ray of a 1950s wise guy, both in attitude and in appearance. At 45, he was 13 years Ray's senior. He seemed out of touch with the new millennium, and the fact that he was rocking the graying pompadour of an aging doo-wop singer didn't help. Glad you could carve some time out of your busy schedule, Billy said. This better be good, Ray said. Billy exchanged a glance with Ty Garrison, one of the state troopers they'd come to know very well over the years. Garrison resembled a mocha-skinned Mr. Clean, with his shiny bald head and muscular frame that always seemed on the verge of tearing his uniform. Garrison snickered, a funny sound coming from that giant's body. Wait till you see this. He stepped aside to give Ray a look at the bloated corpse strapped to an inflatable rescue stretcher. In his 11 years on the force, Ray had seen his share of bodies fished out of the water. They all had that same waxen pallor, their skin and nails tinged with blue. But he'd never seen a body come out looking quite like this. The last time Ray had seen Danny the Mule was 5 years ago on the Southie docks. As part of the city's organized crime task force, Ray had taken part in a sting operation that nutted 100 pounds of heroin off a container ship originating from Hong Kong. Danny wound up serving 3 years of a 7-year sentence, but it disappeared without a trace just a month ago. Ray stared down at Danny's corpse and shuddered. What in the hell is that? Except for a ragged purple scar, Danny's pelvic area was as bare as a Ken doll. Oddly, the missing organ had migrated to his face, grafted dead center over the space his nose had once occupied, and hanging just a bit to the left. Billy shook his head. Reason number 23 why you don't cross-salgy a body. What's that on his ear, Ray asked. It looks like stitches. Why would he have stitches on his ear without an obvious wound? Billy shrugged. I think the better question is why is there a dick on his face? Garrison chuckled as the medical examiner's van rolled up beside them. You don't see that every day. No, Ray said, you don't. But I think the new look suits him. Sort of reminds me of an aardvark, Garrison said. A curt clearing of the throat drew Ray's attention, and he looked up to see Tina Bolton from the medical examiner's office approaching to collect the body. Equal parts brilliant and beautiful, Tina had a no-nonsense reputation. I'm sorry, she said. Am I interrupting your frat party? Ray grinned at the other officers. Make way for the fun, police. Tina pushed past them. Her curly brown hair tickled his cheek as she strode by with her forensic tech, Lewis, who was biting back laughter. What's her problem? The trooper with Garrison asked. Ray used to date her. That was 9 years ago, Ray said, and I'd hardly call it dating. Oh yeah, Billy said, arching a bushy eyebrow. What would you call it? Ray ignored the remark and turned to watch Tina conduct her field exam. When she was finished, Lewis zipped Danny into a body bag and loaded him into the van. Ray approached Tina as she walked toward the passenger side. Tina stripped off her latex gloves and wheeled on him. Don't ever belittle me like that again, Ray. Do you understand? This job's hard enough without you cutting me down in front of your buddies. What the hell are you talking about? You're the one who started it with your frat boy comment. And besides, humor is the only thing that keeps us sane with this job. You should try it sometime. Is that supposed to be an apology, Ray? Because it sounded awful lot like an insult to me. Are you still fishing for an apology? Is that what this is about? Don't flatter yourself, Ray. You threw your chance away a long time ago. Why'd you come over here anyway, just to piss me off? Ray motioned to the other officers. They think this is the Giamatti versus Flaherty dispute, just your classic territorial battle between crime families. But something about this seems off. Whoever did this wanted Danny to suffer, so I get why they cut off his junk. But why go through the trouble of grafting it onto his face? It's too elaborate for a crime family dispute. It feels more personal, like someone was trying to shame him. You know what I mean? Well, Tina said, it certainly is not your typical gangster-style execution. Let me know if you find anything else unusual during the autopsy, Ray said. I have a feeling we might only be seeing the tip of the iceberg. Oh, I definitely saw the tip of something, Tina said, and winked at him before climbing into the van. Ray shook his head at her sudden change in mood and watched the van pull away, the cloud of dust spiraling up from its tires, hanging in the air like an unformed question.
Keep going, keep going.
Oh, no, I want the whole book, please. Could you?
I know.
That's brilliant. I love that. I read it incredibly well. You generate your own audiobooks, perchance?
I'm in the process of getting it made into an audiobook, but I don't know if anyone want to hear my voice for too much longer.
I could listen to that for 9 hours easily. No, beautifully read.
Well,
beautifully read. I couldn't begin to do that because nobody would understand me. I probably sell well in Yorkshire, but it's not quite the international market there. But that was brilliant. So
Thank you.
What attracts you to crime and serial killers, Derik?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's always I grew up in Boston in the 1980s, so there was always the Irish and Italian mafia always in the news. So that was kind of a big deal with Whitey Bulger and that whole thing. And it just, the serial killers, it's just something gruesome, and just so, I mean, some of those people are like brilliant and insane at the same time, and it's kind of a fascinating psychosis.
It seems to be a common. I mean, I'm like I find them absolutely fascinating, and it is a lot of unnaturally intelligent. Their IQs are off the charts. Some of them. I mean, Dahmer, I know it was incredibly intelligent. Gacy, I mean, a lot of them. What's his name? Bundy was phenomenally intelligent. He was one of those. If he hadn't been as mad as a box of frogs, he could have been something brilliant.
Yeah.
And yet, maybe the two seem to go hand in hand. There's obviously the lack of empathy, goes hand in hand with its superior intelligence. Right. I also read an interesting article a while ago. I think it's in connection with, I think it's Peter Sutcliffe. It was Fred West, English serial killer. Frontal lobe damage is very, very common, in so much as it could, it could be congenital, it could be something like a starvation of oxygen during birth. I know in the case of Fred West, he actually had a minor motorbike accident and bumped his head. But yeah, because there's a section of the brain in the frontal lobe that is basically our humanity switch, if you like. It's the part that stops us from murdering people and strangling our children, etc. And with some of these people, it's either physically or even biochemically switched off or damaged or short-circuited or something, and it's not working properly. That's why they can do it without any empathy. I mean, that's I guess that's your categorization of a sociopath. And it's amazing. And again, you hit on it as well, Derik. That a lot of them see it as their work, their art. They, unless it's a way of disassociating from the fact that it's actually people they're killing, but they a lot see it as they're doing a job. I mean, Peter Sutcliffe, the Yorkshire Ripper. I mean, he killed. Well, he was actually prosecuted. He was actually what's the word? Actually convicted. And they thought he did more of killing 13 and trying to kill another 7 women in York. So God told him to do it. He was doing God's work, and a lot of them see it as a job. I mean, they pick on prostitutes a lot because obviously, I guess they're just easy targets. It's a profession that in which you have to get into a car with a stranger prepared to pay for sex. So it's always going to be dodgy, that one. But
yeah.
And I always thought, these serial killers. Oh, he's prolific, and he's the world's worst, or he was, I guess, best serial killer. But a good. I mean, it's lazy for me. Hookers. I mean, you want to be a serial killer who focus on popes or something like that. Something that's a little more challenging. I think. But and there is a book. I'm going to throwing that out there as a book idea. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a serial killer who only kills popes. That'd be great.
Speaking of serial killers, I just keep thinking of Dexter, and I love Dexter, and I wish the ending hadn't been so crappy.
So I mean, I have to ask Derik, who is your favourite serial killer? We all have a favourite. Who's your favourite?
If you have to have a favorite, I guess. I mean, I would say that Dahmer I just find fascinating, just for like the, to be a serial killer is one thing, and that you throw in the cannibal aspect, and that's just going a little bit to extremes.
Yeah, I heard actually. Again, I don't know if it's urban myth or whatever. That they're doing another. I'm not even sure it's a series or a movie about Dahmer with the ex-Doctor Who guy, David Tennant, and there was a picture of him in character, and he looks absolutely exactly like Jeffrey Dahmer. Absolutely. Yeah. Dahmer's story was fascinating in so much he was hardwired necrophiliac. I mean, he sort of got fixated on, I think, seeing his grandfather's corpse, and that's what he wanted to do. He had such a fear of rejection and of abandonment that he killed to keep those he loved close to him. And I guess the fact that he was as mad as a hatter probably didn't help either. To be honest. But I read a biography or a book about him a few years ago, and like I said, I'm absolutely fascinating. Especially you get those books that really dig into their psyche, and you feel that you're on that journey with the killer, and it's unnerving and in some instances uncomfortable, but it makes for fascinating reading.
Yeah, it definitely makes for interesting reading.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked Eileen Wuornos. I thought her, definitely the movie Monster, that was pretty good. But I actually watched like the documentaries and stuff, and I thought she was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think she only killed a few people, so
Yeah,
not really.
and I don't think she was crazy or anything. To me, it was just, maybe she snapped or whatever. But so it wasn't quite the same thing. But I gotta go with the ladies. I gotta side with them. So yeah, I pick
hey, you go for it. Yeah, you go for it. I mean, that's. There's actually a doctor in England, Harold Shipman, who, as far as they know, they think there's a lot more killed, over 250 people. And he was a GP, and he used to visit with a lot of patients in old folks' homes. So it went undetected for years and years and years. And he would I think he had some form of Munchausen's, and he would just help them along a little. We'd just give them a little overdose of insulin here, a little injection of something there, and it wasn't until somebody flagged up and said, we have obviously, it's an old folks home, so you're going to have a high death rate, until somebody flagged it up and said that the proportion of deaths here is just way, way, way above what it should be. And they're attracting, they're could be potentially, hundreds, maybe even thousands more, because he was a GP for years and years and years and years, So, yeah, it's but it's an interesting, I guess, maybe from a writer's point of view, interesting to try and get into the brain of these people, see what drives them.
Yeah, no, and that is the interesting thing, and it's that's kind of, we can have sort of fun with it from a safe enough distance.
Yes, yeah. Or on the other hand, we get to act out, but on paper we don't actually go out and kill hookers. We kill people on paper, so we don't have to do it. Unless that's just me. That could just be me.
I've definitely said that our horror authors and people who write the gruesome stuff seem to me the most grounded and the most normal of the bunch. I really do think that, and I think that's why you guys can write these horrible things, and after you're done, it's almost like I don't know, kind of like a purging. I got that out, so I can.
Well, the thing is, I've had people who read my books, and obviously people that have met me or whatever, and they expect a monster.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they think horror. People think horror, right? We think we're just horrible. And anybody who writes about anything that's not puppies and kittens, about that serial killers, about crime, you must be morbid. Well, no. I like puppies and kittens. To be fair, I'm more of a puppies person than a kittens person, I must admit. But I like little fluffy creatures and things. I also like snakes, but I also keep snakes, so there is that.
So Derik, when you're writing and you have to, write the dark stuff, does it ever bother you? Do you ever carry it with you, or is it basically you write it and it's gone?
It's more writing it and it's gone, because for me it's I'm sort of making it up as I go. It's you're sort of creating your own story, so you're less disturbed by something that you're creating, I think. But there's definitely some scenes that stick with me.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little bit desensitized, just because you kind of see how the sausage is made.
Do you what do you do to sort of diffuse from that? Do you play a sport? Do you just get blind drunk? What do you do?
Right, just close my computer and go talk to the family, go play with the kids, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's a lot of work. You're trying to make it come together, especially it's not easy to do a really dark scene sometimes, because you have the tendency to try to overdo it. So a lot of times it just has to maybe be a little bit more subtle or nuanced, and that's where good editing comes in, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Now on I think it was Amazon, when I was looking you up there, it said author of multiple genres. So aside from crime thriller, what else do you write?
So I have the book that sort of spawned the character Ray Hanley. That was a sci-fi suspense thriller. So a bit of a sci-fi element there. And my other book is called Colony of the Lost, and that is kind of a monster in the woods type story. Disappearance of a small town in western Massachusetts. So that's kind of like a pure horror, kind of maybe old school Stephen King type deal. So they're all broadly thrillers, but they're kind of different subgenres, I guess.
Do you have a favorite out of them?
I'd have to say my new one is my favorite. I think I think as an author, if you sort of evolve over time, and you like to think at least you get better over time. So it just I don't know. It just feels like I think the stories may be a little bit more nuanced, a little more tense, I guess. But you know, they all have a special place in my heart, you know, because you pour your heart and soul in it for years, you know. So, but I, you know, like my new. We'll see what happens over time. But for now, my newest one is my favorite.
Well, it's a quick question, Derik. I mean, do you ever go back and read any of your earlier work?
Yeah, I mean, from time to time, you know, I've done, you know, it's sort of a. Sometimes being an indie author is a blessing and a curse, right? Because you can go back and sort of revise and put out a new edition if you want to, and you know, and I've done that, and so you know, you definitely sometimes take some spots and you're like, ugh, you know. Got to change that, and other times you're like, oh, this is actually pretty good, you know. So
it is a mixed bag. I mean, I've tried it, and some of it is some of my earlier stuff. Oh dear Lord, you know. But I don't think I would. For me, I'm not one for ever going backwards, you know. But like I say, I mean, there's a couple I would happily rewrite, but then you know, I've got too much. You know, I just want to move forward. I would do something new. You know what I mean? But certainly some of my earlier works would benefit from a bit of a rewrite. Maybe one day.
Yeah,
maybe
one day. I agree. Like, you know, I've sort of, you know, I think I'm done with going back. It's only forward from here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are you working on now?
Well, I am outlining for the sort of the next Ray Hanley book. I'd say loosely outlining anyway. Just you know, I took some time off after I finished the other one. I think I was driving my family crazy a bit with the amount of hours I was just spending writing and revising, etc. So took a little bit of a break, and now I'm sort of loosely plotting, and we'll ease back into it soon, I think.
Awesome. Well, you're going to have to promise to come back when you've written the next one and give us another awesome reading. And
send free copies as well.
Yay!
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
We're just about out of time for our first segment. Can you tell us real quick where we can find you online?
Sure. Probably the easiest thing is just go to Amazon.com. You know, if you want to look up my new book, it's The Art of Dying, a Ray Hanley crime thriller. You can also find me on my website. It's DerikCavignano.com. So that is DerikCavignano.com.
Awesome. I will get you put up on our page. If anybody wants to stalk you, then go there and do it. And again, Derik, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I can't wait to have you back.
All right. It was a great time. I appreciate you guys taking me back a second time, and hopefully we'll be talking again in the future.
Oh, definitely. We'll look forward to you being on again. So have a great Christmas and New Year, all that sort of thing.
All right. You too.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye. And we will be right back after this.
Radio Show is sponsored by Hellbound Books, purveyors of all manner of dark fiction. You can find the publisher along with links to all their available works across platforms at hellboundbookspublishing.com. Hellbound Books is proud to be the first in the indie publishing business with a very own app on both Google Play and the App Store. In the mood for something steamy to read, check out new erotica author Jennifer Lynn's website at jenniferlynnerotica.com. You can find James at his website, www.jameslongmore.com, and Xtina has an author page found on the Hellbound website. Don't forget to follow the Panic Room Radio Show on social media. Our Facebook page, Unofficial The Panic Room Radio Show, Twitter at Panic Room Radio, our YouTube channel, The New Panic Room Radio Show, and come visit our website at www.panicroomradio.com.
that blue heartache starts hurting, you'll be doing alright with your Christmas white. But I have a blue, blue Christmas. You'll be doing alright with your Christmas of white, but I'll have a blue, blue
Welcome back to part 2.
He's back. He's managed to go, sort of through half the show with mentioning Trump, so we should, to be honest. And it's been quite a week for the Trumpmeister General, to be honest. They have impeached him. He's only the third president in the history of the US to be impeached. I think the other two are, is it Nixon and Clinton? And there's a good chance they're going to be investigating and voting on whether to prosecute him when he leaves office. So he's broken all sorts of laws and whatnot. He's like, one of those things. Hey ho, couldn't happen to a nice bloke if you ask me. But in honor, what's coming. In honor of Sir Donald the Trumpmeister and his impeachment. This is for you, Donald.
I really believe I'd run into, even if I didn't have a weapon. Nobody knows the system better than me.
Nobody knows politicians better than I do.
Nobody knows. Nobody's better.
Nobody's stronger. There's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am.
I love the First Amendment. Nobody loves it better than me. Nobody loves the Bible more than I do.
There is nobody that respects women more than I do.
Nobody builds walls better than me.
Nobody's in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. Nobody knows that better than me.
Nobody even understands it but me.
Nobody can do it like me.
Which is why I alone can fix it. I have Ivy League education, smart guy. I know words. I had the best words.
You're like, I'm a smart person. It's this. It's not my salesmanship. It's what? This. You know what that is? It's the brain power.
I'm getting thousands of letters and tweets that I was right about the whole situation. I mean, I've been right about a lot of things, frankly. I should be a newscaster because I called it before the news.
I watch yourself. I'm like a guy with vision. I have an instinct for this kind of thing.
I'm good at war. I've had a lot of wars of my own. I'm really good at war.
In my book, I predicted terrorism.
It's a rigged system. I think I've done a great service by pointing this out. I was the one that really broke the glass ceiling on behalf of women. I think I'm doing the military a great favor. Did a great job in Texas, a great job in Florida.
I truly believe that the first 100 days of my administration has been just about the most successful in our country's history.
It looked like 1.5 million people.
Thank you, everybody. What a crowd, what a turnout.
I understand steaks. It's my favorite food, and these are the best.
That keeps me from running, but just keep me coming. Have to learn to do the things you do. Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. No
Can you believe it?
I could not resist that, you know.
He's amazing, though. I mean, look at all those great things he's done, and
he's got the best words. He's got the best words. If you notice, actually, you know, we were talking with Derik earlier about sociopaths and serial killers and et cetera, et cetera. The wording, I mean, Trump talks at, I think I've read somewhere, it's like an eighth grade level, which is insulting to eighth graders. Because I have what is she now, fifth grader, and her vocabulary and diction and comprehension is miles above Donald Trump's. I'm not just saying that. But when you say, you know, I believe, yeah, he believes that, you know, and only I can fix it, and you know, the man, he's a sociopath. I mean, obviously not a narcissist to boot, you know. But having said that, he's also president of the United States. So what are you gonna do? You know, get out and vote people next year. Get out and vote. So, anywho, Xtina, this is the part of the show where we find out that our next guest is a staunch Republican and Trump supporter. The next, if that's the case, the next half of the show is going to be a bit awkward. But without further ado, I think you should introduce our next guest.
Yay! Our next guest is horror author Andrew Kanago. Woo!
Good evening, Andrew.
How are you guys doing?
We are
Hello.
awesome. It is wonderful to finally get to speak to you. It's been a while.
It is. It is. I have to take off my MAGA hat really quick.
Yeah, could you?
I'm a little disappointed here, and but okay. I mean, I can deal with it. So
yeah, moving on. Well, never discuss politics, but where's the fun in that, really? You know.
Oh no, I'm very, very much not a Trump supporter, so you don't have to worry about that here.
Oh, that's good. Thank goodness for that.
Very difficult. So
you know,
well, I mean, he keeps reducing the budget for the arts and that. So it's like, you know, he keeps stiffing it to the arts. So yeah, I don't think there's that many writers are going to be Trump supporters, to be quite honest.
I know.
When our show finally went to prime time, and we decided to add, pretty much any author. We had all the different genres. When we started, it was just horror. But we branched out, and the first time we did a night show, we had an erotica author on. And right before we went to introduce her, James was just talking about E.L. James and you know how awful 50 Shades of Grey was. And we get our author on, and she's like, you know, she's a really good friend of mine, and she's probably listening.
She's a close personal friend. I'm like, oh well, that's. I'll not be co-writing any 50 Shades novels with E.L. James.
Darn.
I think you can live without that.
I could live with that. I could live with that. But now I have to say, Andrew, I mean, when A Touch of Happy bounced into the Hellbound Books email submissions thing, it was, you know, we get a lot of submissions, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the show. It was a wow moment for me because, you know, I'm always looking out for those. That book that just is different. I mean, Xtina's worked with me long enough now. My keyword is different. You know, you know, it can be a ghost story, it can be a zombie, it can be a vampire, whatever trope in it, but it's different. You know, I spent a long time waiting for a different take on werewolves, and we got one. Yours was just wow, absolutely blew me away. Yeah, loved it. I mean, it had elements of. In fact, one of the things that resonated with me. Funny enough, I haven't seen the movie yet. The book Doctor Sleep, the very, very tenuous Shining sequel. And there were elements of just little things that resonated. I'm not saying, there was a lot of parallels, but there was bits that resonated with me with that. It's fantastically written, and the story is just fantastic. Absolutely loved it.
Well, I think one of the reasons, and thank you, by the way, one of the reasons I think you might compare it to Dr. Sleep, even though, let's face it, I'm no Stephen King, but is that in both cases there's a sense of the gift being also a curse. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to see something that you could write that was both a benefit and a huge drawback for the main character. And I wanted to try to kind of express that throughout the course of the novel. And I think King does that amazingly well in The Shining and Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, and I like that the protagonist is. I'm not going to say loser. He's just Mr. Joe Average. Just like nothing apart from obviously the gift. There's just nothing remarkable about him. He's just Mr. Joe Average. Where he's not an exaggerated, square-jawed hero character or like a Carrie character who was, very exaggerated in her, outcastness. But yeah, there's something likable about him. Whether it's you feel empathy for it or sympathy or whatever, but there's something quite likable about the guy.
I think so too. I think I wanted somebody who was, had a poor hairline and clearly thought the height of fashion was a windbreaker, but at the same time had an essential, kindness to him that I felt was kind of winning as I was writing him.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's it. I mean, he uses his gift, for good things, which is nice.
Oh yeah, I don't think he would even know how to use them for anything truly evil, or at least he wouldn't, if you know what I mean. So
yeah.
So
we can no spoil. If everyone wants to, find out what we're talking about, buy the book, people. Where was the inspiration from? I mean, was he? Or did he just pop into your head?
The inspiration came as I was driving to work one morning. I work at a high school in Nebraska, and I just had this image in my head of a guy with thinning hair and a windbreaker in somebody's house drawing pictures. And it kind of get me as I was driving down the street, and I got to work, and I couldn't get that out of my head. And so it started off as a short story, which I wrote pretty much that day, and I didn't really do anything good for my students that day. But and I just sort of took that and I kind of let it rest for a year or two. It was published in a small webzine called Aphelion, which thankfully they took it. And then I thought I could do something more with it, and I thought, well, I can try. It seems like there's more there, and eventually it became the entire novel.
Wow, that's awesome. So it's nice, when, and I think it's nice when that happens, and it comes across in your writing, it comes across in the story that it was organic, and it wasn't that you and again we read that, and we some of the greats, where they're almost written by numbers, and it's like, well, I've got to have this story, and it's got to have this element in it, and it's got to have, and even with the bestest of the best writers, you can see that. But this A Touch of Happy it's a wonderful organic story, and it's very engaging, and again different. I guess that's the that's my keyword, different. If it's different, you're in. But if you're not, if I've read something like it before, So, but anyway, I'm dying to hear something. You have an excerpt to read for us. Andrew?
I do, actually. I do.
Marvelous.
I do. So,
Marvelous. Actually, I knew. I was just being. That was just being me being showbiz. I knew you had an excerpt. I actually have it here in front of me. So anyway, it's just for the show, you know, and I can edit that out in post as well. So Andrew, please regale us.
Oh yeah, just forgive me though. I'm coming off a bit of a touch of flu here, so my voice is still a little bit hoarse. So. I apologize if I sound a little bit crackly. All right.
Fine.
This is from Chapter 2. Sunday, October 9, 2016. Megan Artis had the phone to her ear when he found her. That party was cray-cray, Megan said to her friend, a friend who would, in a few hours, recount the conversation to the police. I mean, you think that Lexi would have known not to come. It's not a big secret that Jake wasn't that into her anymore. The friend, also named Lexi, but spelled with an I-E, said something about how everybody in the basement stared at Lexi with an I when she came down the stairs already drunk as shit. Megan laughed as the dark van spotted her and began to slow down. Megan said that the longer Lexi with an I stayed at the party, the dumber she got. No one ever told her that if the boy she's flirting with ain't trying to get in her after half an hour, she needs to stop trying. The dark van pulled to the side of the road about half a block ahead, and a man opened the door and got out. 2 a.m, a dark van, and a man in a baseball cap. Megan should have torn her shoes off running away. But Lexi with an eye and her quest to get with Jake made her blind. Having smoked weed didn't help her reflexes at all. Lexi, the friend, said that Megan missed the best part. Lexi with an eye puked in Ashley's lap, and Ashley wasn't having any of that shit. Ashley's lap? Right on that skirt she loves. Lexi, the friend, said as the man positioned himself next to the sidewalk. He pretended to look at his rear tire, but the excitement made him distracted. The girl continued to walk toward him, talking about some stupid party she had been at. She didn't see him. She didn't even look up. He stuck out his tongue and tasted the air. No one watching them. He could always tell if someone was paying attention. He tasted something bitter, the taste of sour beer. Tonight, his tongue felt only salt and sweet. No one noticed his hand. Over the phone, Lexi and I heard something, a man's deep voice, something about a lug nut. Then Megan's scream, cut off when a hand karate chopped her throat. The next day, she would try to describe the voice, but knew not the words to do so. 6 minutes later, the next person saw a cell phone in the grass and heard the thin sound emerging from it of a girl's voice screaming Megan over and over again. Mark came awake in a flutter of its movement. He felt his gloved hand knock something away. He swung his eyes to the left and saw a woman recoiling. "Get in my hand," she said. The hand in question held a crumpled Kleenex. "You were drooling in your sleep and talking. Did you touch me? Did you touch me?" Mark demanded. When the FBI flew him to a crime scene, he always went to the crime scene, bringing the objects back to Omaha, never netted so good a result. Mark had 2 absolute rules. 1, Mark took with him his own sleeping bag and pillow. Most hotel beds and sheets did not trigger his particular ability, but Mark did not like to take chances. Besides, hotel beds were nasty, especially bed covers. Under a UV light, most hotel rooms looked like a Jackson Pollock painting composed of human fluids. Mark also carried a police flashlight to help check for bed bugs. 2, Mark absolutely required, 2 seats on the plane. The window seat for him to sit, the middle seat so that he could suffer through the flight alone, certain that his last seconds on Earth would be involved trying to figure out how to put that stupid oxygen mask on, amidst the din of screaming and the sight of solid Earth approaching at sickening speed. So.
Was that? Oh no! No.
No, yeah, I'm reading. There's still more to go.
I think he got up, to be honest. That was great.
I was counting up. I thought I was at the 5-minute mark. So, is that okay?
No, that was fine. That was great. Thank you. It was brilliant.
Yeah. No. I have not read the book yet. I've read some, but I have not read the book yet. And is there more story there? I mean, is it going to be a sequel or anything? Because as with our previous guests, we had different cases you can go through, and same thing could be for Mark here. we could follow him on the next, time that
Well,
police need us or something.
There could be other stories in that universe. There could be. My next one is actually a post-apocalyptic Western. And I'm about yeah. So I'm about done planning that one. So I'm probably going to start writing in the next month or two. And
wow.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know when I'm going to come back to that, but I have a couple ideas from some short stories. So, but I'm not sure about a novel yet.
Now, Mark's ability. Do you believe in stuff like that?
I don't know. I mean, there's no science around that kind of psychic ability, but I'm not ruling it out. I think that I don't know. I've never seen anyone, but maybe my mind hasn't been open enough sometimes. I certainly don't have any ability like that. I'm pretty bad at that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I do believe in all sorts of, scary, creepy, paranormal stuff there. But same with what you were saying. I don't have anything going on. As matter, and when people have claimed to have seen ghosts and stuff like that, and nope, not me. Do I believe there's stuff out there? Sure, I do. And I'm glad I haven't seen anything because I don't think I could. I would die of fright. I really would.
My mom tells me there was a ghost that was in our house my entire time growing up, and my dad saw it and my mom heard it, and it was apparently of an old woman who lived there before who died of a heart attack in the basement. But I never ever knew about that until after I moved out. And
thank God, right?
I know. I wouldn't mind actually. I wouldn't mind seeing a ghost. I can handle it, I think. Not Sixth Sense type ghost, but
a nice, friendly ghost like Casper.
Yeah, or just even a benign ghost would be fine with me. Just something ordinary.
No, I would love to. I guess I'm one of these. I would love to. I really would. But I'm a scientist at heart, and I need to see proof. I would need a ghost to come and buy me a pint, and then I would believe. But I'd love to truly believe that there are werewolves and vampires and ghosts, and I like. One of the things I like Lovecraft because a lot of his stories are about sort of what could potentially lie just below the surface of reality. Just scratch the surface a little bit, and it's there. This whole different world of monsters and creatures and dark slithering things. I love that idea. I love that just behind the facade. I've written a few of my stories of sort of touch on that. It'd be great if somebody could just, we could have sort of, day trips into the netherworld and meet all these creatures and monsters. I would love that. Absolutely love that.
And I think stories about werewolves and ghosts and those kinds of things are essential to us as humans. I mean, every culture everywhere has had stories about ghosts, even though they go by different names. And I think it just speaks to something universal in us that need to sort of like understand the unknown, even if we title it with things like ghosts or werewolves or the Yeti. So, I don't know, I think these things are essential for
the other way you could look at it, if so many different cultures have these sort of stories, and a lot, even cultures separated by thousands of years and by tens of thousands of miles, maybe there is something in it.
That's true. I mean, when you think about it, maybe the science isn't there to detect it yet. Maybe there are ghosts everywhere. And I mean, 300 years ago, would anyone have believed you if you said that illnesses were caused by really, really tiny life forms swimming around your bloodstream?
Well,
No.
exactly.
So-
They thought it was something you caught by, smelling something, or it was, your humours, or, I mean, and we I guess as a species, we always have to try and think, sort of make up stories for things we don't understand. It's funny. I mean, even in well, okay, I don't know how old you are, Andrew. I mean, you're probably a wee slip of a thing. But I'm, sad old man that I am. I remember watching, the first season of Star Trek. I remember clear as that watching it with my grandma, and she was a formidable woman. And you'll be watching, the original series of Star Trek, and they'd have the communicators, and it'd be like, oh, that's far-fetched, that. He's phoning it. And this is in the day when the phone was attached to a wire, to another wire, to the wall. And they're there, and, they can communicate, and their little faces on the screen and that. And the same with, I remember watching Goldfinger, my favourite Bond film of all time. He had the little, you flip the thing on the Aston Martin, and there was a little, what we now know as a GPS, to follow that. And all that's far-fetched, that'll never happen. And here we are. We have, we have phones that you can see people on them and fit on your wrist. We have GPS, on your cell phone. And it's just like, so like you say, maybe in maybe even 50 years' time, 100 years' time, they will have ghost detectors, and, we'll be able to converse with ghosts and, find where the werewolves live and all the rest of it. That'd be tremendous.
I know. Assuming humans are still around by then. So.
Well, even if we all die out, we'll all be ghosts anyway, so it'll still work.
Exactly.
There you go. Win-win.
Exactly.
So who do you like to read, Andrew? Who's who's your key authors?
Well, obviously Stephen King is huge. I think he's kind of a cornerstone for most writers around here.
I think Stephen King is a given, I think, to be honest, for everybody.
Yeah. So. And right now I'm reading Lilith St. Croix, a couple of her books. I've been kind of interested in her lately. I've been really getting into, I kind of started reading some of the Patrick O'Brian, the ones in the Napoleonic era. I know that's not horror science fiction, but he writes really interesting novels.
Yeah.
And then I also read a lot of student essays. And I have to say that they're probably not quite ready for publishing yet. So,
but I'm sure you do see the odd one that that has that promise, has that spark.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get some students that have some promise then they show me fiction that's sometimes pretty good, and I tell them the same advice that I've been trying to follow, and that's read a lot and then write a lot, and I think that's the best way to become a writer, or at least a paying one or a professional one.
It's funny. I mean, up until recently, there's a young author I was sort of trying to mentor. I mean, she was doing really well, she was taken on board, and see her work was developing, and then it was like, I mean, she's up at 21, 22, and and then I well, what can I do to improve? Well, you need to write, you need to read, and read and read. Well, I don't like reading, and it's like, well, what can I say? I'm sorry. I mean, if you're not prepared to learn your craft, then there's not much more I can do. I can only teach you so much, but what do you do? It was sad.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't, just read at least a book a week or so, especially during the time when you have free time, like your early 20s, it's going to be hard to catch up. And
oh, definitely, yeah, yeah. I
mean,
think
there's so many.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello. What you were saying, Andrew?
Oh, I was just saying that there's so many interesting things that other writers are doing that it's really worthwhile to just read them for what they're trying to accomplish in terms of character and writing and story. And, you know, things you can I don't know, steal, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Who was it that said good writers borrow, great writers steal? Was that Faulkner, I think?
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I mean, it's you know, I don't think of it as steal. Like, sampling is, you know, the music biz, it's sampling, isn't it? But I don't know. I mean, it's funny when I was starting, I actually started out writing screenplays, and you know, I needed to hone my dialogue skills, so I downloaded a bunch of Tarantino scripts. That guy can write dialogue, and he can write dialogue that has nothing to do with the plot, and it is engaging, and it is just flows, and it's natural. And I learned my dialogue skills from, among others, from Tarantino.
Wow.
You know, that's it. If there's something you like, you know, we all read a lot of Stephen King, you know, and we read a lot in the genre. You, Andrew, and I will read, if it catches my attention, I will read outside the genre. I will read, you know, biography. I like political biographies, you know, serial killer books, obviously, you know, crime, you name it. You know, if it's something that catches my interest, I will say. In fact, I've just plowed through a bunch of John Grisham. Until they start, after about the fourth book, they really start getting much the same. You know, it's the same plot. You know, change the names and the location a little bit, and da 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 da. But these people, they're writing to what their fan base want. They want age. If John Grisham suddenly wrote a fabulous Regency period romance, we're like, what the fuck? You know, I mean, we want legal drama. We want, you know, all the legal jargon, and we want judges in it, and we want this, and a few deaths, and da 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 da. So he's obviously writing to that. I get that. Say again?
Yeah, he tried to write. Sorry. Oh,
yeah.
Grisham, he tried to write a football novel, I think, and it didn't do very well.
Oh, I don't even know. I didn't even know he'd done that.
Yeah,
wow.
he did. It wasn't.
I mean, having said that, I mean, Stephen King, you know, he's written out of the genre. I mean, there's always that. It's always a sort of among the darker side. He's never written, I guess, a flowery romance novel. Probably never will. But he's managed to. I mean, like Shawshank Redemption just had that little tinge of supernatural in it. But again, it was just a good, solid book. I mean, some of my favourite King stories are not particularly horror or supernatural.
Yeah, the body. The body was my big disappointment with that was it wasn't a full novel. I mean, it was I guess it was either a long short story, and I can't remember how long it was now. But again, he drew you into the characters. And I've said about it, you know, you could take out the whole supernatural killer clown, take all that out, and it would still be a phenomenal coming of age novel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Now, my favorite, well, pretty much my favorite Stephen King was the girl who loved Tom Gordon, and that one didn't have any like supernatural thing going on or anything. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, it works well.
Lost in the Woods.
Yeah. But again, written so well, and you know, you're there with her, and I only read it because Xtina recommended it, because I didn't really fancy it, and absolutely loved it. Absolutely and I bought Xtina the pop-up book as well.
I have
it
right here. Book. Yes. Yes, I got it for Christmas last year. I loved it. It's right here next to me. Yeah. So, Andrew, I hate to say this, Andrew, but it is time for us to say goodnight. It's been. I know. You know, every time I say we run out of time, and we played around with bumping our show up a little bit. I don't know if we should do that or not, but it's definitely a possibility.
We do need a longer show. Yes, I'm going to campaign for that.
You have to promise to come back and see us, Andrew.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
No, thank you. And again, I thank you so much for Touch of Happy. It's a phenomenal book. Absolutely loving it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Very much so. And thank you for joining us. And have a great Christmas and New Year, sir.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay.
Thank you,
Speak to you soon. Cheers, Andrew. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm afraid, Xtina, it is that time of night, and Merry Christmas, yo ho ho, etc. humbug. It is that time where we say good night, Xtina.
Good night, Xtina.
It's all cold down along the beach. And the wind's whipping down the boardwalk. Hey, Dan! You guys know what time of year it is? What time? What? Oh, Christmas time. You guys all been good and practicing real hard? Yeah? Clients, you've been rehearsing real hard now. So Santa, bring you a new saxophone, right? Everybody out there been good or what? Oh, that's not many. You guys in trouble out here. And you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list. He's checking his wife. He's gonna find out who's naughty or nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. You better be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. You better not try. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Ho, 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 ho. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. You better be good for goodness sake. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Coming in town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town.